Thank you. I will start that over. Welcome to the Board of County Commissioners Land Use Meeting today, October 4th at 1 p.m. Our first order of business is our call to order, and we do have all 5 commissioners present. So let us start to proceed through the agenda, and we'll start with item number 1.
Item number 1 is staff emergency items. I'm unaware of any staff emergency items.
Very good. Item number 2.
Item number 2 is changes, postponements, notice of the next meeting. I'm unaware of any changes or postponements. The next meeting will be October 11th at 9:00 a.m.
Okay, item number 3.
Item number 3, public comment on items not scheduled on the agenda. This is your opportunity to speak on items not scheduled on the agenda.
Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak to any item not on the agenda? I don't see anybody coming down. Is there anybody online? No? Okay, very good. Let us proceed then to item number 4.
Item number 4 is the land use consent calendar consisting of items 4A through 4C.
All right. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak to any of the items on the consent calendar? And seeing none, and I'll assume there's still nobody online, I'll bring this up to the dais. Any comments or questions from any of the commissioners? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for item 4.
Move approval of item number 4.
Second.
That's been moved and seconded. Let's go ahead and proceed with the vote. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Bremer.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0 for the land use consent calendar. Let us move to item number 5.
Item number 5 is the called up consent calendar. There are none.
Very good. And let's move to item number 6.
Item number 6, resolution to approve disbursement of the Sand Creek Drainage Basin Bridge Fund to Central Mark Sheffel Metropolitan District, Commissioner District number 2, and I believe Carrie Parsons, Senior Planner.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Carrie Parsons with Planning and Community Development. Drainage reimbursements typically are scheduled on the consent calendar. This one was accidentally scheduled on the regular calendar. In summary, this is a request to reimburse the Mark Sheffel Metro District with actual check funds versus credits. The reason that the reimbursement comes out in credits in small increments at a time is because as plats are recorded, we get fund deposits in that particular basin, and and when those funds are available, then we are able to reimburse those that have payments due back in the way of credits or check. And so that is what is before you today, Commissioners.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Sounds like that was supposed to, if I heard right, supposed to have been on the consent calendar.
Yes, sir. Those are typically on the consent calendar.
Very good. I'll just ask the question if there's any questions from any of the board members. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval of item 6.
Second.
That's been moved and seconded. Let's go ahead and proceed with the vote on item number 6. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Bremer.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. Let us proceed now to item number 7.
Item number 7, map amendment rezone, county initiated rezone from PUD to RR5, a request by El Paso County Planning and Community Development for approval of a map amendment rezoning from PUD planned unit development to RR5 residential rural. The 9-parcel site totals 24.31 acres and is located at the northwest corner of the intersection of Highway 24 and Old Meridian Road, approximately 1/4 of a mile south of East Woodman Road and within Section 12, Township 13 South, Range 65, west of the 6th Prime Meridian. Parcel numbers 53121-00-011, 53121-00013, 5312110-004, 5312110-007, 53121-12-006, 53124-00-013, 53124-00016, 53121-10-010, and 53124-07-001. Commissioner District 2, file number P-22-017, Carrie Parsons, Senior Planner, Planning and Community Development.
Good morning, or good afternoon again, Commissioners. I am presenting on behalf of Matthew Fitzsimmons today before you. So as Ms. Allred read into the record, this is a site-specific PUD currently, and the Planning and Community Development is requesting that the site-specific PUD basically be rescinded and the RR5 parent zoning be returned to the properties listed. If there's anybody watching and you would like to provide some input, please email pcdhearings@elpaso.co at this time. Again, the request was read into the record. Pursuant to Section 5.3.5E of our Land Development Code, the county may initiate the rezoning of any property with the unincorporated area of El Paso County. And then with permission, if it's okay with Mr. Hodges, I'm happy to read the criteria into the record unless you would like to do so.
Ma'am, if you could do that, that'd be great.
I
I'm
would
out
love-
of the reading business today.
Okay, yes, sir, I would love to do that. The criteria for approval for a map amendment or a rezoning is the application is in general conformance with the El Paso County Master Plan, including applicable small area plans, or there has been a substantial change in the character of the neighborhood since the land was last rezoned. The rezoning is in compliance with all applicable statutory provisions. The proposed land use or zone district is compatible with the existing and permitted land uses and zone districts in all directions. And lastly, the site is suitable for the intended use, including the ability to meet the standards as described in Chapter 5 of our Land Development Code for the intended zone district. This is a vicinity map of the area. So East Woodman Road, Highway 24, this is the site here. The Falcon Fire Protection District lies on the corner of this intersection of Old Meridian and Highway 24, about right here. And the proposed area does include all of this land in red, including this little flag adjacent to Highway 24. Staff did notify all the property owners within the requested rezone area and the adjacent property owners. At the Planning Commission hearing, we had no adjacent property owners provide any comment or response. We did, however, have one adjacent property owner that is not included within the PUD. However, they also own a portion of land within the PUD, come to the hearing, and they spoke as to concerns related to their existing variance of use adjacent to this proposal, and concerns that in the future, traffic studies would be required for future developments within the PUD area. The Planning Commission did vote unanimously to recommend approval of the county-initiated rezone. Are there any questions about the summary for the Planning Commission?
Are there any questions from any of the commissioners regarding the summary from the Planning Commission or anything else at this point? Yes, Commissioner Geiger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have just a question about the comments made from the Bartlett family. For context for my colleagues, the Bartletts own a feed and hay store right next to that. So when you're saying that they had concerns regarding future traffic studies, are they indicating that they think that there needs to be traffic studies? I'm just trying to understand what their particular concern is.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. The Bartletts currently have a variance of use for the hay sales, as you mentioned, on a piece of property adjacent to the PUD, which is also zoned RR5. They have purchased from the Seglick family an area behind their current structure that is within the PUD, and they're utilizing that for some outside storage that wasn't included in the original variance of use. The Bartlett family was not understanding why the county didn't go ahead and initiate a traffic study for development for this particular RR5 zoning district. And staff did explain that the county staff would require an applicant when changing from RR5 to a commercial zone district to do a site-specific traffic study to determine if any on-site and off-site improvements would be required based on their proposed commercial district. So I think there was just some clarification for the Bartlett family to make sure that they understood that this wasn't going to be an immediate trigger for them to submit a traffic study, but rather it would require the future developments to submit a traffic study and go through the necessary processes of entitlement.
If I could, just a follow-up question. So is there concern then that this change is going to affect their ability to conduct business utilizing that piece of the property that would have been in the PUD?
Currently, the variance of use does not allow the Bartlett family to utilize the PUD property. It currently is not consistent with the PUD. So by the county enabling the PUD to basically go away and go back to the RR5 zone district, it would allow the Bartletts to propose to include that area in a new variance of use or potentially rezone to commercial for both their current property zoned R5 and then if this one goes in. So it doesn't limit them at all.
Okay, so they have a path forward on that. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions from any of the commissioners? And it just, I have a question myself, is, so obviously this is moving from PUD to RR5, but there is a landowner on this property, I believe, and who is that?
Great question. I'm going to jump ahead to some slides.
Oh, great. You're going to talk about it in a moment. Okay,
I am.
thank you.
Just want to give you a kind of bird's eye view of the property here in yellow. So again, the old Falcon Fire Station, the new building that they've just erected for their fire station. The previous fire station is now a community building. This was the Sedgwick family home. The Sedgwick family has now passed on. So the siblings are determining what they're going to do with this. This is the Bartlett Hay barn and storage, which as you can see is outside of the PUD. This piece of property right in here is what the Bartletts recently purchased and are currently using. And the remainder of the property is owned the majority by Signet Land, and that is vacant. The county just completed a public improvement project with the installation of the roundabout at McLaughlin and Old Meridian Road in conjunction with that park and ride across from this property south of the property on New Meridian and Highway 24, just south of the aerial on this screen.
Yes, we have a question from Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's on the slide before. So, I mean, just looking at it, is that also on the south side where they're going to put that little police substation or whatever you call it? Would that be changed at all by the rezone? If that's the location?
I'm sorry, sir. I don't know the answer to that. So let me look at my director and see if he is aware of where that substation is.
And I think Commissioner Geithner would like
Yeah,
to comment.
I can answer that for you. This is not the
That's
area.
not the
It's
place.
actually much.
Oh, okay, because I remember it was next to a fire
It is.
building.
It's next to a fire station that's
That's not
actually
it.
in Woodman Hills,
Okay.
quite a bit of a distance
All
away.
right,
yeah.
thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, so in terms of the private property owners that are included within this rezone, there are 9, as you can see here on the screen. And I want to provide a little bit of background as to how we got here, because it's kind of an interesting story. So when the PUD was initially rezoned from RR5 to a site-specific PUD, it was done so to accommodate a home improvement center known to be Lowe's. And there was several pad sites with specific buildings, parking lot with aisles, landscaping that was very specific, and the whole PUD had to be implemented in this manner. So when Lowe's pulled out due to the recession, the PUD unfortunately became on hold indefinitely. And that being said, some of the individual property owners within here have tried to all work together. County staff has tried to work with them. Unfortunately, we were never successful in getting the property owners to work together to submit a holistic rezone for all the land within the PUD to a specific rezone, because Ultimately, they couldn't agree on the proportional share for the requirements to do that, such as that traffic study that would be required for a commercial development, so that staff can recommend conditions of approval to this board to require those needed drainage improvements, off-site road improvements, and also the interior and public improvements to the site to make the commercial center functional. So because after truly 5 years of negotiations with various landowners, staff went to the director and asked if we could clean this up on behalf of these residents and propose a county-initiated rezone to go back to the parent zoning so that the folks within this area could individually come forward and rezone from RR5 to commercial or RR5 to a multifamily development on their own. And then that way they could submit the required reports and engineering documents that were specific to their property only. So that is how we got here in terms of why staff is requesting the county-initiated rezone be approved today. Are there any questions on that background?
Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So it sounds like you're saying then that all of the property owners are amenable to this. And I'm guessing, since we don't have any of them here to tell us otherwise, that that is the case.
Yes, by staff presenting and requesting this item, they are able to go back to RR5 without the burden of submitting the application.
Thank you.
But I appreciate Commissioner Geithner's question. It was kind of where I was leading originally. You know, there are landowners and what was their point of view, but it looks like we're getting to that answer. Thank you.
Okay, in terms of one of the approval criteria, I want to just lightly touch on the master plan. This area is shown as a regional commercial center. Please keep in mind when the master plan was implemented, it was technically a commercial PUD zoning. And so that PUD zoning is reflected in this master plan. However, the rezone to the RR5 is still supported under the regional center place type because the supporting land uses allowed in the regional place type are the residential. Now, staff does not anticipate that this site would remain residential. The master plan also identifies this area as an area of transition. So it would anticipate to be transitioning over to, again, commercial or multifamily based on our master plan. Are there any questions related to compliance with the master plan for this rezone?
I don't see anybody raising their hand, so please go ahead.
I'm sorry, I keep moving over here because I can't see over the screen. I need a bench. So I think I've covered most of this analysis here. Basically, again, lack of implementation led to failure to comply with the conditions of approval of the PUD. Sales of portions of the property have occurred over the last 15 years. The infrastructure that was identified on the PUD drawing, such as the Lowe's and various retail sites, was not implemented, and changes to the structures have been done, such as the new Falcon Fire Station, the roundabout, and then the variance of use carryover with the Bartlett hay sales. Ultimately, the rezone will allow independence of the unique property owners to develop their property in accordance with what they would like to do. Lastly, just a quick touch on transportation. I think we've covered this for the most part, but when this does, or if this does redevelop, whether it's residential or commercial, the county has provided the improvements into the property. So the connection from the existing curb cut on, I believe this is New Meridian Road, is currently right here, and that would be anticipated to connect from this point over to the county's new roundabout here. And then we may see some interior connections based on what comes forward by these individual property owners in the future. all of this land would be subject to the countywide road impact fee at the time of that redevelopment and plat recordation. And that would conclude staff's presentation. Are there any questions for your staff?
Are there any questions for staff at this time? All right, seeing none, thank you very much. And this is a little unusual, so normally we have somebody proposing a development, so we have an applicant, but in this case we do not, because we're reverting back to, it's, I guess you call the baseline planning. But I do need to just ask if there's anybody, I don't know if the staff has anything else, so I think it's time to ask if there's anybody from the public in opposition or support. I don't think I see anybody in the audience that would do that, but let me just ask the question. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to testify on this item, this rezone item, in support of it? And I'll just ask if there's anybody online, and there isn't, okay? And is there anybody from the public that would like to testify in opposition? And I don't see that either. So at this point, this comes up to the Board of County Commissioners. And are there any questions remaining from any of the commissioners? And if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would move approval of item 7.
Second.
And that has been moved and seconded. And since I didn't hear before, I won't ask again. So let's go ahead and proceed with a vote. Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Bremer.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. Congratulations to the landowners there. It sounds to me like they'll have a little bit more flexibility now as a result of removing this plan, PUD. Yes, Commissioner, please.
I just wanted to add quickly, because we didn't have a opportunity in there just to make comment, but I just wanted to say thank you for moving this along, and this seems like the very right decision for these business owners to be able to kind of get out from underneath what happened with that PUD and the failure of that store to come in, and just really grateful that they're going to now get the opportunity to move forward with the property that they own and make use of that. So thank you.
And I will concur. Thank you. Okay, so item 7 is complete. Let's continue with the agenda. Item number 8.
Item number 8 is department and committee reports, non-action items. There are none.
Item number 9.
Item number 9 is the addendum. There is none.
And item 10.
Item 10 is the executive session. No requests for executive session.
Very well. Seeing no further business before this board, this meeting is adjourned.